Hello and welcome back to our Batman the Animated Series episodes commentary. And today's episode is one that I consider a brilliant episode in this show called A Bullet for Bullock. That's right, an episode focused on none other than Detective Harvey Bullock. So, as usual, let's do our countdown so you can watch the episode with me if you have your DVD box set or Blu ray box set or streaming service with Batman the Animated Series, all right? So let's go in 3, 2, 1, give it a play. So we have the first Warner Bros. Logo, and now the second one is on the screen. And yeah, as A Bullet for Bullock, this is a very interesting episode because it diverges a little of what is the focus of the show, with a Batman centric adventure. This time we have an episode that focus on one of the characters, or should I say the side characters of the show that sometimes we even forget he exists, Harvey Bullock, but of course a very classic character that also has this kind of love-hate relationship with Batman. And but at least in this version here in the cartoon, he is a good person. He's a good detective. And even though he has a rude way of dealing with things, he's a good detective. He works for Gordon and he's part of the good guys. There are some versions of this character that might go into the other way, portraying Bullock as a bad guy. And this was something that happened in the last cartoon of Batman, The Caped Crusader from Amazon Prime. And I don't particularly like that version. I do like this version here where Bullock is this good detective, but also a, kind of a rude guy. He doesn't follow the book line by line, right? He has his own crude way of dealing with things, but he never acts out of the books in that way. And here the episode starts with Bullock suffering an attempt of murder. A guy in a car tried to shoot him down the street, a very strong beginning, by the way. And immediately we are thrown into a mystery plot where Bullock doesn't know who was this killer and who was this guy trying to get to him. So then he calls the Batman himself on the top of the building. And by the way, this is a very interesting episode also because it takes place on Christmas, I believe, because it's snowy Gotham. We all love a snowy Gotham, right? And here we have Batman arriving and being very surprised by finding, not Commissioner Gordon, but Harvey Bullock instead of Commissioner Gordon waiting for him. And something very unexpected happens. That is Harvey asking Batman for help to try to unravel this mystery plot and who is trying to kill him. So Batman will, even though, Batman doesn't like the idea of working with Bullock, he also understands that this is a important matter for him to take on. So he will try to investigate who are the possible suspects in this plot. And the funny thing is that this relationship between Batman and Bullock is going to be hard to say, to confuse these two names. But this relationship between Batman and Bullock always been built in this show as this, like I said, a love-hate relationship. In the beginning of the series, Bullock was very against Batman, trying to get him and throwing him in jail. But now, he he is more keen to work alongside the Bats and let him help, uh, help the police force, the GCPD, in criminal matters. And it's funny because Bullock, he cannot avoid showing a little bit of excitement in working with the Bats. You can see in his way of speaking, the way he calls Batman a partner before Batman just vanishes like he always does from the top of the building. So he is actually, there's a little bit of excitement, and he likes the idea of working alongside the Bats. But anyway, this episode, as far as I know, and I'm not sure about this information, but I heard it before, that this is actually an adaptation of a comic that is based on Bullock. And I think the story is actually, the name is actually A Bullet for Bullock. So check it out. I never read it, but I believe it is a faithful adaptation of that comic. And this is what I like about this show. It takes a lot of inspiration, and it adapts some stories of the comic books that are so irresistible in terms of plot and story, and they use them in the show in many of the episodes. And like I said in the beginning of this one, this is a brilliant story because it really is this detective story, right? That's something that everybody loves to see Batman in it. As we see, in the beginning of the episode, we saw the murder attempt in against Bullock, and during the episode, we're gonna see many clues that lead us to believe that some of the characters around him are the possible primary suspects, and maybe the real person trying to kill him. And this interaction between Bullock, Batman, and all the clues and in the investigation it's something that is so well plot out, is so well developed during the story that you really feel inside a noir kind of movie, right? Which, just like movies like Chinatown or something like that, you are together with the detectives, piecing things together, or, keeping in your mind some elements of the plot in order to put yourself the puzzle together and maybe unravel who is the killer by yourself. So this is what is most incredible about this story. Also, I think it's a very well animated episode. Like I said, I love the visual of Gotham in the snow. There was a scene before where Bullock, he arrived in his apartment, which is a very dirty, ragged apartment, just like you expected from him. And there were some cockroaches on on some holes in the wall, and these cockroaches in the dark formed something that looks like an arm holding a gun against him. And Bullock got scared, and he raised his gun, and then realized that there were just shadows, or at least those cockroaches moving on the wall. And it was very well put together by the animation. And okay, again, I love the kind of rivalry between Harvey and Batman, because Batman always does his thing of vanishing before the conversation has ended. So, we have many great lines from Bullock, like, "I don't know how the commissioner put up with this." It's great. And then we have now a scene where Gordon, oh gosh, sorry guys, Bullock, he's going down the metro to get a subway, and the place, the station is completely empty, and he is having his snacks, his croissants, his donuts, and sodas, all the things that and make him this fat guy that he is. But somebody pushes him on the train track, and again, we don't know who it is, but it's probably the same person who is trying to kill him from the beginning of the episode. Um, Funnily enough, Gordon is not present in this story, and this is something that I just realized now. I've watched this episode many, many times, and I never really actually realized that Gordon was absent in the story. We have Renee Montoya, for example. She's here, she's present, but we don't have Gordon. That's why probably I am confusing his name all the time. And once again, Batman shows up to talk to him, and he brings some information about a list of suspects that probably are the primary suspects of trying to kill him. And there's this guy called Vinny the Shark, who is a criminal boss, a mob gangster that Batman believes is the guy who is trying to kill him. And Bullock has some dirty information about the guy, so he's probably the one who is trying to get to him. And I think this relationship between Bullock and Batman started to mellow after the episode Vengeance with Killer Croc as the villain. I already commented that episode here in the show. Sorry, in my show, in my YouTube channel, in the first season. And before that episode, the relationship of Bullock and Batman was very sour, and they were enemies basically. And after that episode, which Batman helped Bullock, actually Bullock was accused of a crime that was committed by Killer Croc, and even Batman almost believed that he was the real guy. But in the end, he helped Bullock to clean his name, and this is where their relationship started to mellow a little bit more. So Bullock goes after some information with another side character that shows up here and there, but is not one that is so important. That is Summer Gleason. And what I like about this show here, Batman the Animated Series, another element that I love is this idea that we have so many side characters that make this city, this universe of the animated series so vivid. We have the reporter, the detectives, we have some crooks that work for some particular villains. We have villains from all categories, monsters and gangsters, and people that really make this universe feel like a real place. And this is something that I absolutely love about this show. We just watched a scene where Batman got this crook, and to get some information from him, he did something that I believe Batman Begins took inspiration from. That is to rope his feet and throwing him from the building, and almost drop him on the floor, many floors actually above the top of the building. And to intimidate him, he prevented the guy from hitting the pavement, but and pulled him back, with the intention of getting this information. So again, another hint that the Christopher Nolan took many inspirations from the show, or at least David Goyer, the screenwriter of Batman Nolan trilogy, took many inspirations from this show. And now we have a classic scene where Batman gives a ride for Bullock in the Batmobile. This has happened with many other characters, right? There they've been inside the Batmobile, and and Bullock is very impressed with all the buttons, all the things this car has. And there's a moment he asks, what does this button do? He's going to press one button in the panel, and Batman says, "This is the ejector seat," which scares him right away. I love this scene. And this is something interesting that I think many noir stories and noir detective stories have, that usually these stories, they have always partners, right? Two detectives working together, not just one, uh, to be able to give the story a little more dynamic, right? So you need to have two characters interacting to and sharing information and crossing information to actually make the story much more interesting. And this is exactly what happens here, right? Of course, this is an unusual team up, but it's a team up that usually we would see with Gordon and Batman. But what I really love about this team up is the fact that we have the more comedic guy and the more serious guy. So we have basically the good cop, bad cop routine, like the Joker says in The Dark Knight. Sorry, I have to remember that line. But here we have this idea that these two characters counterbalance each other with their personas. But anyway, Batman and Gordon, they go to the location where Vinny the Shark works to basically get the guy, right? And they are surprised by the the gang of Vinny, and they are trapped for some minutes under this chassis of a car, and then we're gonna have the usual fight scene of all these gangster crooks and Batman and Bullock fighting each other. Another element from this episode that I almost forgot to mention is the soundtrack. Actually, this is one of the few episodes in the show that the soundtrack diverges a little bit from the usual Batman classic soundtrack. And I love it because it really goes more towards the, like I said before, the noir kind of soundtrack used in detective stories, that has the saxophone, almost like a jazz kind of music. And it's really cool, again, a great work from the composer of the show, Shirley Walker, which I don't mention very much in here. I should mention her more. Of course, I am watching these episodes on mute, so I almost forget unconsciously about the soundtrack of the show. But we must remember that probably the greatest thing about this show is the soundtrack, and how exciting it is. The whole beats of Batman that is, of course, inspired by the Danny Elfman classic soundtrack from Batman '89. But the soundtrack here is just absurd, and in this episode is very unique with this whole noir style. And this is something that I believe this show beats every other show, especially The Batman from 2004, which is a great cartoon as well. But the soundtrack in there just doesn't really, I just don't really like it, to be honest. And in comparison to this one, there's not even a comparison. So anyway, we are arriving to the end of the episode, where Bullock actually realizes that Vinny the Shark is not the one who tried to kill him, even though he 100% believed that he was the one. And then when he's coming back home to his apartment, the guy who's trying to kill him approaches him with a gun. I don't know why the guy just didn't shoot him right away. He would save a lot of work. But the guy points the gun to him, and when he starts to speak, Bullock realizes that this is the none other than Nivens, who is the apartment manager that takes care of the building that he lives in. He was trying to kill Bullock because he wanted him out of the building, out of the apartment, because he was, according to his parameters, Bullock is a pest that spreads dirt everywhere and leaves everything like a pigsty. So there you go. The plot is unraveled. Batman actually saved him in the last minute. He jumped on Nivens to save Bullock, and this is the fun thing about this episode, is that the actual killer, or the actual suspect, the actual guy who was trying to kill Bullock, is this pathetic apartment manager. So in the end of the day, this whole investigation was for nothing, but made for a great story and adventure. So anyway, and there you go. We finally ended the episode with this great jazz soundtrack. And this is it. Thank you very much for another commentary. If you watched this video, of course. And if you are liking the content of BATGUS, please don't forget to leave your beloved like and your most welcomed subscription, so we can keep talking about Batman and DC Universe forever, all right? See you in the next Bat video, and bye-bye.